Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining our panel on sustainability. I am joined here by three amazing and inspiring innovators, designers, inspirati, so to say. And we're going to be talking today more in the femtech direction, which is completely a part of why we're here today and talking about sex tech. So when we talk about sustainability, it means a lot to different people. It could mean one thing, it could mean another thing. And the way that I perceive it in this day and age is really thinking through the both production and consumption of a product or service. And this is really what I want to get at today with talking to you. So I want to let the panelists introduce themselves so we can hear a little bit about what you do in this wild and crazy, sexy and hot space. Let's start with you.
Hi, so thanks for inviting me today. I'm Theresa and I'm working at Einhorn as a designer. Recently, like last year, we made 8, I'm not sure why I'm looking at you. We did 8 period products, tampons, pads, slip, like panty liners, and a menstrual cup. And we also sell vegan condoms. And yes, I'm like part of the design team and was part of the design process when we made the period products. And yeah, I think that's maybe enough for the introduction. So.
Sounds good. Thanks so much for having me here today. My name is Madeleine, and I'm here from Vancouver, Canada, with Lunapads, and I'm one of the founders of that company. And I started developing reusable menstrual pads, in my case, washable cloth pads and period underwear in the early 90s. I was a fashion designer at the time and a feminist, and became interested in reusable alternatives to disposable products because I was experiencing allergic reactions. And but once I started using the products, I got so excited about them, I decided to commercialize them. And Lunapads is one of the first 2 companies in North America to commercialize reusable menstrual products.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm Giulia Tomasello. I'm a designer. I'm from Italy, and I live in between UK and Italy at the moment. So I'm an interaction designer, and I work in the field of wearable technology, so working with electronic textiles, and as well with biotechnology. And I combine all of this technology for women's self-care. So I mainly work with vaginal infection, so trying to work on the preventative and diagnostic tool, and very connected to digital health. So I guess this is why I'm here.
Thank you very much. And I'm Danielle Keiser. I am the founder of the Menstrual Health Hub, which is a female health nonprofit and social impact business that uses the menstrual cycle as the entry point to being able to address female health across the life cycle. So let's get into it. Sustainability. It's a buzzword and has been for the past few years. We're really interested in knowing what sustainability means to you and how you bring it into your business, thinking about both production and consumption and even beyond, in the product and beyond. Tell us about that.
So we have one of these values at Einhorn. It's called fair sustainability. So it means fair and sustainable. And we also never say we're finished, because it's always fair sustainable in progress, or fair sustainability in progress. So yeah, I think it's a long process for us. We are never at the end, and we are still always working on it. And I think, yeah, of course, it's important for us to have fair products and as fair products as possible, and to know what's inside our products, who make our products, and it's also important for us to have sustainability in what we do and what we say with the product. So if you have a look at it, it's printed full of messages, and what we want to do with it is like see like that people see it and think about it, and like change their mindset, and like have sustainability in the thinking of the whole menstrual hygiene topic.
Okay, sustainability. So when I hear the word sustainability, I actually do a quick translation in my mind. And I think of sustainability personally as regenerative. So when I'm thinking about how we run Lunapads and our operations and our products and our design and even how the type of culture that we have at the company, the question that I ask is it not just sustainable, is it regenerative? Like, is it something, do our actions actually concretely make the world a better place? And, but just to reel off a few statistics, like our production is zero waste, so all of our textile waste involved in manufacturing our products, all of which are reusable, so we don't sell any disposable products at all. Is zero waste, and so all of our textile waste is upcycled into other products, and we're super proud of that. You know, we're super picky about our packaging. Like, we're just kind of super nitpickers when it comes to anything green. Lunapads is a founding Canadian B Corp, and so a B Corps are, which some of you might be aware of, but it's an international movement of what I like to think of as the Jedi Knights of sustainable and social impact businesses. So our Lunapads is rigorously measured, like every little bit of CO2, all of our employee and value chain processes from a social perspective are measured, and we're not able to call ourselves a B Corp without that. So and then of course we just try and practice basic human sustainability on a personal level, right? Because if you've got some great company making sustainable products and everybody's busting their necks, going 24/7, part of this kind of buzzy startup culture, and isn't getting enough sleep and isn't taking care of themselves and whatever, what's the point of that? So we have a very holistic perspective on sustainability as well. Thanks.
So I'm in a different part of my life with my products. So my products at the moment are very speculative. I mean, I'm working towards a near project that probably soon will be a startup in the market. But at the moment, I'm much more concentrated on educational point of view. So I believe that sustainability with me translates with responsibility and with awareness. Because if we are not aware of what we are using, we will never make a change, even though the product itself can be sustainable. So this is what I work on. So I work also with biotechnology, so with the microorganism or bacteria that are already part of ourselves. And I really try to concentrate on how we as users, we can use better like these products and how can we understand first our body and then how to interact with them.
Thank you so much for that. It's really interesting to hear those perspectives. Giulia, I want to ask a question about what it is that you're doing, because my three favorite topics are all here: vaginas, menstruation, and sex. With vaginas, you're kind of working with bacteria, vaginas, art, and technology. What role does sustainability play in that mix, and how do those things all come together with what you've created with Future Flora?
So to explain one of my projects, Future Flora, for example, is a kit designed for women to treat and prevent vaginal infection. So it's a kit that the woman will have at home. And there is one part of the kit, there is a pad made of agar-agar, which is already like the compound that biology used to make bacteria. And in the other side, there is a pipette with a healthy bacteria that the woman will swab on top the pad, let it grow. And when this pad full of bacteria will be ready, she will place it in the underwear and wear it. So in this way, she will restore the balance of the bacteria that is missing during an infection. And it's a really strong approach on home treatment. So I'm really proposing kind of a DIY tool to make your own treatment for vaginal infection. And at the moment, this project is mixing art, biotechnology, wearable, everything. And it's coming from my master thesis of 3 years ago, a master in Central St. Martin's, where at the beginning was perceived very provocative, because as you can imagine, a designer speaking about this kind of topic was very difficult to understand. But now, of course, also with the new wave of feminism that is coming, finally, we can speak more about this taboo topic like vaginal infection. So this is what I work on, and speaking about sustainability and also real product. At the moment, I'm working with for another product that is called Alma, and it's a sensor that will be integrated in the underwear to detect the pH in our vaginal discharge. So we as women, we lose every day vaginal fluids that we actually as women, we perceive a bit, let's say that we as women, we freak out when we feel that we are wet. So we just change our underwear and we don't think about it. But actually, if we will be able, through technology, to actually read what's going on in our pH, we could understand which kind of infection is coming. So if it's a candidiasis or a bacterial infection, and so identify what is actually happening and treat it correctly. So this is, again, where it's coming to sustainability, trying to be aware of what is going on without using products that maybe will not treat yourself, but actually make it worse and go directly to the point.
So interesting that you're working on something like that. I want to switch gears to a different type of vaginal fluid, to menstrual blood, and the work that you do, Madeleine. So we've heard some statistics that the average woman uses around 11,000 tampons in her lifetime or 14,000 pads, whatever she chooses. That's quite a lot of waste and plastic and chemicals. I mean, what makes pads and tampons white? Anyone? Yeah, so we're sticking very, very intense chemicals in very private places. I'd love to hear from you, Madeleine, about how you kind of, I don't know, what role has Lunapads played in helping kind of pioneer this sustainable menstruation movement, since you have been working in this space for 25 years, I believe?
Okay, well, 25 years is a long time, so I'll try and keep it short, but thanks for the question. Yeah, I mean, I would say, like, so many of the folks in this room, you know, just even listening to Giulia, I'm like totally blown away. Like, oh my goodness, like what a thing you're doing, and what it is to be a pioneer and trying to, you know, do something that is completely new and kind of edgy for a lot of people. And so it was definitely like that for myself for the vast majority. I mean, periods and natural reusable period products are definitely having a moment in the last few years, but let's say for the first 20 or so, it wasn't easy. However, it worked well enough to keep it going, and I feel really proud of that role. Like, sometimes you need to be the first, and sometimes you need to, you know, be persistent. To me, that defines an entrepreneur. It's someone who's kind of not willing to give up and to keep going. And I'm a very, very passionate person, and I love anything progressive, green, feminist, you know, that kind of thing. And I would say that part of what's kept me going is feeling like part of a movement of green, typically women-led, women-identified, female-identified-led businesses, small businesses that have done that, and I just love it. Like, I still remember the feeling that I had when I switched to reusable menstrual products for the very first time, and I just had this incredible feeling of liberation. I hadn't just solved a problem. I had done something far more transgressive, and they're far more powerful. And so I think when you're surfing that kind of energy of knowing that you're kind of onto something, and even though, you know, not everybody else kind of gets it or whatever, that is a very special feeling, and it's a very creative feeling for me too. I feel like for me, business is a creative act, and especially the business that we're in. And so, I feel like I've gotten off the question, but.
I think it's quite interesting anyway, and thank you for sharing. Talking about green, Theresa, I have a question for you, kind of bringing it back home to here in Berlin and Germany. So Berlin is a notorious place where people love green everything. They not only like to have organic food, but it's really translating to lots of other market-driven products. Einhorn makes condoms and now menstrual products that are green, so to say, where the process is kind of revealed from that production to the consumption, you know, being able to see where the cotton is coming from to that shelf in DM. My question is a little bit about transparency. Is transparency the first step towards sustainability? And if so, why or why not? And what do you think are the next steps then, if that is or is not?
I think transparency can be the first step before like getting sustainable or more sustainable. But I think in the best case, it should just come within the, or like with the sustainable process. So I think it's really important. I think it's also like clever just to be transparent. Also, if you have a fair product, because people today, customers want to know what's inside the product, and they start to care more about their body and what they put inside them, and what they eat, what they wear. And I think also we as customers should start asking more questions. And there are still, I think we are quite at the beginning. We always like see or experience that. I think we're just in that Berlin bubble, and sometimes we just have to take a step outside it, and then unfortunately we see that there are still a lot of products that are not transparent and not sustainable. And I think we as customers, we have to like ask questions, how is that product made, where does it come from, and just also choose what we buy.
Yeah, it has to be demand driven in a way. Yep. I have a question for everyone here, and it's kind of around values. So when I find a new product that's sustainable or green, I often think about the people that created it. Like, what really drove them to create this? So what I would like to know about you is, what are the values that have driven your projects or your companies? And more importantly, what are the things that you look for when you're bringing new people onto the team or new business partners? Like, how do you know who you want to work with and why?
Within my projects, I will never be able, let's say, to work alone. This is pure honesty, because of course I'm a designer, so I specialize myself in wearable technology by working within the fashion team, and then by working with bacteria to be a kind of DIY biohacker. So I started by growing bacteria in my room, but of course, like, this is not the way to make a proper product or a proper successful idea. So I work within a multidisciplinary field with engineer, with scientists, with biochemist, and I will never be able to really work without. And at the moment, I'm also collaborating with a social scientist, because of course, because I want to tackle the educational point of view of how women can use this innovative product. I need to understand how they will use it, and in which way, and if they want it. So I work with this kind of people, and mainly also they are men, because I really believe that even though I work in the field of women's self-care and femtech, we live in a society where we are men and women, and so we need to like open up to everybody. So actually my new project, which I'm working on, the integrated sensor in the underwear, is in collaboration with 3 scientists, which are 3 guys, which, as you can imagine, is not always easier to speak about vaginal discharge, actually never. But this is the good part of it, because it always makes kind of like the little challenge even to show to them and to prove how is actually what it is, even from an emotional point of view, to suffer of this disease, and then to be able to explain to a wider audience and the market.
Cool. So one of my all-time favorite entrepreneurs, an American friend of mine, says, relationships are the true currency. And I really believe that's true. Like, let's sit with that for a sec. Like to your point, like, how do you get anything done without anyone else? And so if you're going to be doing something, that's got to be a good relationship. And so what constitutes a good relationship? At Lunapads, we typically start with values. And for us, that's an intersectional feminist kind of lens, where we work to be as inclusive as possible, as kind as possible, and just really let folks be who they are, for starters. And being super transparent is another big one. I would also say trust. And so it's like all the stuff about what you do in your daily job. Yes, that needs to work, of course, but that comes second to who you are as a person. The other thing I would add to that is that when we put out a call for people to work at Lunapads, like typically it's a certain kind of person who comes to us. Like there's not this sort of profile of person who's scratching their head going, oh, maybe I should have been an investment banker, but maybe I'll work at Lunapads. Like, no one's confused, Nobody's like, oh, maybe I should have been a marine biologist. Like, they know that they're the kind of person that wants to work at Lunapads because it's a very unusual, very specific kind of place that's almost like a calling. Like, there really is, it matters to someone so deeply on a values-based level, the kind of political agenda that we have as a company, that they're drawn to work with us. And finally, just a shout out to my business partner who unfortunately can't be here today, but I've been working with her for 17 years. And to me, the relationship that I have with her is one of the most wonderful things in my life. And I look at it, it's built on 100% trust. Just 100%. Like, and trust doesn't mean you can't disagree. It doesn't mean you can't have different perspectives. We have different perspectives all the damn time. And yet part of that, it brings it some richness, and it brings us this kind of nice creative kind of grit. And you build something with people who you don't necessarily see everything the same way, but there needs to be safety in order to do that. So I know that's kind of a long list, but that's the mix that seems to be working for us.
Yeah, I think it's quite similar, like at Lunapad. I think people that know Einhorn are a special kind of people, I think. And also, it's not like investment bankers that want to make like the big money and suck money out of the company. So I think they really love what we do already, and they want to be part of it. And if we see it really doesn't work, it doesn't work on both sides. So most of the time there hasn't to be a big talk about it. I think it's kind of a relationship. If it doesn't work on both sides, it doesn't work out. So, and also we have that second value, which is fuck. It's spelled F-U-G, and it means fight and hug. And I think
what was that? What does it mean?
Fight and hug.
Fight and hug.
Yeah, it's about like you are allowed to fight, but you have to hug each other after the fight. And it's only about the fight has to be about the bigger thing, the bigger value. It's not about your ego. And I think, you have to be in that kind of mindset working at Einhorn. And when it comes to partners, I think we were quite lucky in the past. So also, like the bigger partners like DM, they came to us. They loved what we do, and they asked us if we want to work with them. And I think, but it's the same with employees. If we see it doesn't work out, if they want to take over the wheel, or if they want to push us in a direction we don't want to go because it's against our values, we quit the relationship.
Do we have time for one more question for everyone? Yeah. I'm going to skip through the other questions I had individually for you because of time. So I'll just jump into the last one and leave some nuggets of wisdom and final words for our lovely viewers here. So this panel has been more around femtech, vaginas and menstrual health and sexual protection, I guess one could say. I would like to know from you, like, what you have to do with the main themes here at this conference of sex and technology. Are they related? Are they not related? How do you relate them? Essentially, like, why are you here, and how does it fit in all together?
Okay. Well, on a very practical level, let's start with vaginal pH because, using disposable menstrual products can absolutely disrupt and deplete natural vaginal pH and moisture levels, which, of course, as we all know, because this is sex tech, are really essential, natural, just functioning for female health and also for female sexual pleasure. Like, come on, if you're dried out, it's harder to self-lubricate. It's harder to enjoy. It's harder to have pleasure. It's harder to have an orgasm. But that's kind of the basic physiology of it. But looking at it from a more philosophical perspective, part of what we're trying to do at Lunapads is heal body shame around something where there's a ton of shame. And it's almost like if you feel lousy about any part of your body, like whatever it is, it could be, I don't know, you name it, doesn't matter what it is. But let's say if you really, 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 really hate your period, it's going to make it harder to feel good about other parts of yourself. And it's like, you may not love your period. You don't have to love your period. I wouldn't say that you have to. But let's try and make peace with this. And let's reduce the harm. And let's find, I think of it just as basic gentleness. Like, I think we all need that more in our lives. We all need more nurturing, more gentleness, more kindness, more respect. And that's something that reusable products offer to menstruators. So when we are menstruating, we can feel just this kind of feeling of being comforted, possibly of feeling excited. I don't know, whatever's true for you, right? But it's about improving the experience of this very, very basic bodily function that is deeply embedded, like, oh my goodness, it's right inside you. And it's also central to, I was thinking the other day, or I was reminded by my colleague Jane, who's here with me, that I said a long time ago that the earth is a reproductive system. Like, part of what I try and think about in my practice and as a menstruator myself is my connection with the earth, my connection with the tides, my connection with the lunar cycle. And that was never available to me when I used disposable menstrual products. So there's something to me really profound about connection beyond just like me feeling okay with my body and me feeling okay with my consumer practices, but me feeling kind of just more connected to and more at peace with, forgive me for being so left coast, but the universe. Yeah.
Thank you, Madeleine.
I actually totally agree in many points, and I personally love my period. And in line with this, I think I'm part of this community today, mainly because also, like, if you want to have sex and pleasure with sex, you need to be healthy, again. So you have to take it out of shame, you have to, and especially you need to become aware, like you are not alone. Like when even we suffer of vaginal infection, like statistically over the world, we are 75% of women that contracted once in their life. And in this 75%, the 10% is recurrent, which it means that it can come many times even in the year, or mainly when you have bacterial infection, it can come even the month after. So no shame, and just like let's start to actually be more aware and be more active. So what I can do, how I can start to feel better, and how I can start even to share with friends or with people to understand how I can make different myself or to be more confident. So this is what I really try, and I really push within my work to really invest through technology, because technology, it's really coming, like, we live with technology. And I personally believe that really technology is getting closer and closer to our skin. How yet, I don't know. But I really want to use this technology for us and to empower, why not, women in this full taboos that we are immersed on it, to really try to be empowered and confident, and to really be confident of our body and of everything that is going on, because it's beautiful anyway, and to enjoy the sex pleasure as well.
Do you want to say anything last?
Yeah.
Great.
So I think for me as a designer at Einhorn, I see my task in making that topic, or that these topics like sex and menstruation more accessible to people, or more attractive to talk about. And I think that's why it's also I don't see like Lunapads or anything as an enemies, because I think we are all part of this whole big topic, and we all try to change something. And I think it's important to like keep on talking and keep on just bringing that topic forward, and keep on like working on that topic, and like motivating people to talk about it, and like to change things and the thinking.
Thank you all very much for those last words and for every contribution you've made. There's a quote that comes to mind that I heard recently from a mentor and a menstrual scholar named Chris Boble. She says, "Your body is a site of power, pleasure, and potential." And I think those are really nice words to leave us on for today. So thank you, Giulia, Madeleine, and Theresa.